Have you ever measured the slow leak of your own power, the silent cost of convenience, the unseen tax on every choice made from habit instead of reason? You track your expenses in a ledger of currency, but have you ever dared to audit the ledger of your character, where every purchase is an entry that either strengthens your will or deepens your servitude? You believe you are living your life, but are you certain you are not merely funding the architecture of your own prison, one comfortable compromise at a time? There is a code that governs the flow of wealth, power, and respect. It is not taught in schools or discussed in public. It is a silent language spoken by those who have mastered the internal landscape before attempting to conquer the external one. This is the great deception. You have been trained to chase the symbols of wealth, while the truly powerful focus on the source, a mind so disciplined it can bend reality to its will. They do not reveal this code, for it is a key, and they understand that a man who can unlock his own mind needs no other master. We are not here to speak of stocks, assets, or market trends. We are here to decode the 7 laws of inner command that make such things irrelevant. These are not tips, they are revelations. Each code is a key to a locked room within yourself, a chamber where a more powerful, more disciplined version of you already resides. To hear them is to be made accountable for the knowledge. To ignore them is to choose the comfort of the cage you now recognize. Prepare yourself. The information that follows is not for the passive observer. It is a summons. Each sentence is designed to dismantle a layer of the self you have built on a foundation of unexamined beliefs. It will feel less like learning and more like remembering a truth you were born with and taught to forget. This is not a video, it is a mirror, and the reflection it shows may not be one you are prepared to face. The path to power is paved with the shards of a former self. Therefore, the question we will answer is not how to acquire more, but how to become more. For the codes do not bestow wealth. They reveal if you are worthy of it. They are the gatekeepers to a reality where money is no longer your goal, but a tool. No longer your master, but your servant. The question is not, what must I do, but who must I become to command the wealth I seek? The revelation of the 7 codes has already begun. Observe the foundation upon which most lives are built. It is a frantic and desperate search for addition. The common man believes his worth is a sum. Add a car, add a title, add a larger house, add a follower. He's a collector of ghosts, filling his life with symbols of success while his spirit remains hollow. This is the first and most common error, the belief that freedom is something to be acquired. He does not understand that true power is not built by adding, but by subtracting. This relentless pursuit of more is a form of slavery disguised as ambition. Each new possession, each new desire becomes another chain, another thing to be polished, guarded, and feared over. The mind becomes a cluttered room, filled with the noise of wanting, the anxiety of losing, and the envy of others. There is no space for silence, no room for deep thought, no possibility of peace. You have been taught to build a life that looks impressive from the outside, while the inner architect is neglected, starved of the one thing he needs: stillness. The tension in this life is a constant hum of dissatisfaction. Every achievement is fleeting, immediately replaced by the next target on the horizon. This is the great treadmill of modernity, and it is fueled by the illusion that contentment lies just one more purchase away. But it is a lie. You are not chasing happiness. You are running from the profound discomfort of your own inner emptiness. And the faster you run, the more acute the emptiness becomes. Here lies the first code, a secret hidden in plain sight. Wealth is not measured by what you have, but by what you do not need. This is the principle of cultivated indifference. The Stoic does not despise wealth. He is simply not commanded by its absence or its presence. He has ruthlessly audited his desires and discarded all that is non-essential. He has discovered that the fewer things he needs to be happy, the more powerful he becomes. He cannot be threatened because his peace is not for sale. Imagine your desires as strings attached to your limbs, each one held by an external force, the market, society, your own ego. The average man is a marionette, his movements dictated by the constant pulling of these strings. The practitioner of this first code takes a blade to these strings, one by one. With every desire he severs, he reclaims a piece of his own autonomy. The process is not one of loss, but of liberation. He is not becoming less. He is becoming more himself. This is your first practice. Look at your life and identify one need that is actually a want in disguise. The daily expensive coffee, the subscription you barely use, the brand name that offers nothing but status. It is a crutch, a source of manufactured comfort. Your task is to voluntarily release it, not as an act of painful sacrifice, but as a deliberate exercise in power. You are teaching your mind that its master is your will, not its appetites. Through this subtraction, you create a vacuum, and into that vacuum flows something far more valuable than what you gave up: control. You begin to operate from a position of fullness, not of lack. You are no longer a consumer begging for a dopamine hit, but an owner of your own state of being. Your net worth is no longer just in your bank account, it is in the resilience of your spirit. This is the first battleground, the war against the unnecessary. What is the one comfort you know is a cage? What is the one desire that, if you conquered it, would grant you the most freedom? Acknowledge its name in the silence below. The act of naming it is the first step toward reclaiming your power from it. Now, consider the nature of your labor. You trade your life force, your irreplaceable hours, for money. You believe this is a simple, fair exchange. But have you ever truly calculated the cost? You are not just giving up your time. You are giving up the one resource that allows for thought, for growth, for the practice of virtue. For many, a job is a place where they sell their freedom for the means to survive, only to be too exhausted to use the freedom they have bought. This creates a hidden servitude. You become dependent on a single source of income, a single master. This dependency breeds fear. The fear of being fired, the fear of economic downturns, the fear of displeasing those in power. This fear dictates your choices, silences your voice, and forces you to compromise your principles. You may wear a suit and carry a briefcase, but you are living with the mind of a slave, always looking over your shoulder. The anxiety of this position is a slow poison. It erodes your confidence, stifles your creativity, and shrinks your ambition to the small, safe confines of your job description. You begin to see the world not as a place of opportunity, but as a landscape of threats. Your primary goal is no longer to thrive, but simply to survive, to not lose what you have. This is the mindset of scarcity, and from this mindset, no great wealth can ever be built. Thus, the second code is revealed. Never trade your time for money. Trade your skill for equity. The rich do not work for money in the way the poor and middle class do. They understand that a salary is the most inefficient path to wealth. Instead, they build, create, or invest in assets. An asset is a system that works for you, generating income independent of your direct hour-to-hour labor. They are not selling their time. They are buying it back. Think of it as building a well instead of hauling buckets. The bucket hauler is paid only for the trips he makes. If he stops, the income stops. He is trapped by his own labor. The well builder, however, endures a period of intense, unpaid effort. He digs and builds, often for no immediate reward. But once the well is complete, it provides water, value, indefinitely, whether he is present or not. He has created a source, not just a service. Your work must become the building of your own wells. This could be a business, a brand, a portfolio of investments, a creative work that pays royalties. It is the packaging of your unique knowledge and skill into a form that can provide value to others at scale, decoupled from your own presence. This requires a profound shift in thinking, from employee to owner, from performer of tasks to architect of systems. This is how you break the golden chains of the paycheck. You begin to see your day job not as your life, but as a temporary source of capital to fund the construction of your own freedom. Every dollar you save and invest is a brick in the foundation of your well. Every hour you spend learning a new skill is sharpening the shovel you will use to dig it. Your life transforms from a defensive posture of survival to an offensive strategy of creation. Your second task is to identify your well. What is the one skill or knowledge you possess that could be transformed into an asset? What system could you begin building, even on the smallest scale, that could one day work for you? Share the first step of its construction below. Declaring the intent is the first act of building. Observe the flow of information. You are drowning in it. News headlines, market predictions, expert opinions, social media chatter. It is a relentless storm of noise, and it is designed to provoke one thing: reaction. The markets spike, and you feel greed. They plummet, and you feel fear. A neighbor buys a new car, and you feel envy. This emotional reactivity is the enemy of all sound judgment, especially in finance. The undisciplined mind is a ship without a captain in this storm. It is tossed about by the waves of breaking news and the winds of public opinion. It buys high in a frenzy of euphoria. It sells low in a panic of terror. It makes long-term decisions based on short-term emotions. This is not investing, it is gambling with a handicap. You are playing a game that is rigged against you because the game is designed to profit from your impulses. The cost of this reactivity is not just financial, it is psychological. It creates a state of perpetual anxiety, of being constantly on edge. You are outsourcing your peace of mind to forces you cannot control. The stock market, the economy, the whims of the crowd. You have tethered your inner state to the chaotic fluctuations of the outer world. This is the definition of fragility. The third Stoic money code is this: act on a plan, not a prediction. The wise investor, the Stoic builder, operates from a different paradigm. He does not try to predict the rain, he builds an ark. He has a clear written philosophy, a set of unchanging principles that govern his actions. This plan is his fortress. It is designed before the storm arrives, in a state of calm, rational thought. And when the storm hits, he does not consult the screaming winds for advice. He consults his plan. Imagine two generals facing a battle. The first general has no strategy. He reacts to the enemy's every move, sending his troops scrambling in a chaotic and desperate defense. He is unpredictable, emotional, and easily manipulated. The second general has a meticulously crafted plan. He knows his objectives, his rules of engagement, and his conditions for victory and retreat. He observes the enemy's movements not with fear, but with interest, using the new information to execute his existing strategy more effectively. He is in command. Your financial plan is your strategic doctrine. It must define your goals, your risk tolerance, your asset allocation, and most importantly, the specific actions you will take under various conditions. For example, if the market drops by 20%, I will invest X amount more. I will not sell. I will rebalance my portfolio once a year, on my birthday, and not a day sooner. These are not predictions, they are predetermined decisions. By creating this system, you automate your discipline. You separate your actions from your emotions. The daily noise of the market becomes irrelevant, like the buzzing of a fly outside your fortress walls. You are no longer a participant in the mass hysteria. You are an observer of it. You are playing a different game, a long game governed by reason, not by fear. Your third task is to lay the first stone of your plan. You do not need a perfect document. Start with one rule. Write down one simple, unbreakable rule for your financial life. It could be, I will automatically invest 10% of every paycheck no matter what, or I will not check my investment portfolio more than once a month. What is your first rule of engagement? Carve it in the comments below as a contract with your future self. Now consider the concept of risk. The average person is terrified of it. They seek security above all else. They choose the stable job, the guaranteed pension, the predictable path. They have been taught that risk is a synonym for danger. This is a profound misunderstanding. The greatest risk of all is the avoidance of risk. The relentless pursuit of security is the surest path to mediocrity and regret. This fear of risk creates a small, confined life. You never start the business because you might fail. You never ask for the promotion because you might be rejected. You never invest in a bold idea because you might lose your money. You live within the narrow boundaries of what is known and safe, but there is no growth in the safety zone. All rewards, all progress, all forms of greatness exist on the other side of calculated uncertainty. The tension here is between the person you are and the person you could be. The ghost of your potential haunts you. You see others taking the risks you shied away from and achieving the results you dream of. This breeds a quiet resentment, a bitterness that poisons your present. You tell yourself they were lucky, that they had advantages you did not. But the truth is, they were simply willing to pay a price you were not, the price of courage. Herein lies the fourth code. Seek not the absence of risk, but the mastery of asymmetry. The Stoic understands that risk is unavoidable. It is a fundamental property of existence. To live is to risk. Therefore, the goal is not to eliminate it, but to engage with it intelligently. The master of risk looks for asymmetric opportunities, situations where the potential upside is exponentially greater than the potential downside. This is the barbell strategy. On one end of the barbell, you are hyper-conservative. You protect a large portion of your assets, say 80 to 90%, in extremely safe, boring investments. This is your foundation. It protects you from ruin. It ensures your survival. But on the other end of the barbell, with the remaining 10 to 20%, you are hyper-aggressive. You make a series of small, calculated bets on high-risk, high-reward ventures. With this strategy, your potential losses are capped. The most you can lose is that small portion you have allocated to risky bets. However, your potential gains are uncapped, even unlimited. If one of those small bets pays off, it can change your life. The downside is known and limited. The upside is unknown and potentially infinite. This is asymmetry. You have positioned yourself to benefit from chaos and uncertainty rather than be destroyed by it. This is not just an investment strategy, it is a life strategy. Keep your primary life stable, your family, your health, your core values. But in your career, in your projects, in your learning, take small, calculated risks. Start the side project. Learn the difficult skill. Have the uncomfortable conversation. The cost of failure is small and temporary. The reward of success can be permanent and profound. Your fourth task is to identify one asymmetric bet you can make in your life. It does not have to be financial. It could be dedicating 1 hour a week to learning a skill that could triple your income in 5 years. It could be pitching one ambitious idea to your boss. What is a small risk you can take this week where the potential reward vastly outweighs the cost of failure? Define that bet in the space below. Let us examine the nature of your circle. The people you surround yourself with are the architects of your expectations. Their standards, their ambitions, their financial habits, their conversations, they form the invisible walls of the reality you inhabit. You believe you are an independent thinker, but you are a product of your environment. If your environment is mediocre, your life will trend toward mediocrity. The danger of a low-quality circle is that it normalizes weakness. If everyone around you is in debt, debt becomes normal. If everyone complains about their job but does nothing to change it, learned helplessness becomes normal. If everyone spends their weekends on cheap consumption and distraction, a life without purpose becomes normal. You are being hypnotized into a smaller version of yourself, and you are not even aware of it. This creates an internal conflict. A part of you knows you are capable of more. You read books, you watch videos like this one, you feel a flicker of ambition. But when you return to your daily environment, that flicker is extinguished by the overwhelming force of social pressure. To rise above the level of your circle is to risk loneliness, to risk being seen as arrogant or strange. And so, most choose to remain grounded, sacrificing their potential for the comfort of belonging. The fifth code is simple and ruthless. Your network is your net worth, not in connections, but in standards. The truly wealthy do not build networks for favors. They build them for perspective. They surround themselves with people who operate on a higher plane, people for whom excellence is the baseline. They seek out masters of their craft, disciplined thinkers, and virtuous leaders. This is not about social climbing. It is about cognitive recalibration. Imagine being the worst player on a championship sports team. You would be forced to elevate your game every single day just to keep up. The intensity, the discipline, and the standards of the group would pull you upward. Now imagine being the best player on a losing team. The apathy, the lack of discipline, and the low standards would inevitably drag you down. Your environment is a gravitational force. You must become a ruthless curator of your own circle. This may be the most difficult code to execute because it involves people, relationships, and loyalty. It does not mean abandoning friends in need. It means you must consciously limit your exposure to those who consistently drain your energy and lower your standards. And you must proactively seek out and build relationships with those who challenge you to become better. You do this by providing value first. Find the people you admire and ask yourself, how can I help them? Offer your skills, your loyalty, your hard work with no expectation of immediate return. Become the type of person that high-standard people want to be around. Your circle elevates as you elevate yourself. The quality of your life and your finances will inevitably rise to the level of the conversations you are having. Your fifth task is an audit. Write down the 5 people you spend the most time with. Next to each name, write the primary standard they represent in your life. Are they raising you up or holding you in place? You don't need to share the names, but answer this in the comments. What is the one standard, discipline, ambition, integrity that is most lacking in your current environment? Consider the object of your focus. The world is constantly directing your gaze outward. It tells you to focus on your competitors, on the next market trend, on the acquisitions of your neighbors. This external focus creates a reactive and fragile mind. You are always playing defense, always trying to keep up, always measuring yourself against an external scorecard that you did not create and cannot control. This outward gaze is the source of envy, the most pointless of all emotions. Envy is the act of counting another person's blessings instead of your own. It is a poison you drink, hoping the other person will die. It distracts you from your own path, wastes your precious mental energy, and makes you a bitter and resentful participant in a game you are guaranteed to lose. Because there will always be someone with more. This creates a life of quiet desperation. You are running a race against everyone but yourself. You achieve a goal, only to immediately see someone else who has achieved more. There is no possibility of victory, no place of rest. You have made your inner peace conditional on your position relative to others, and in doing so, you have sentenced yourself to a lifetime of dissatisfaction. The more you look around, the less you see the path ahead. Here lies the sixth and perhaps most liberating code: compete only with who you were yesterday. The Stoic understands that the only valid comparison is with the self. The external world is the realm of fortune, luck, and factors beyond your control. To measure yourself against it is madness. The internal world, however, the realm of your own habits, your own discipline, your own learning, this is the arena you command. Imagine a sculptor. A mediocre sculptor is constantly looking at the work of others, trying to copy their style, agonizing over their success. He is paralyzed by comparison. A master sculptor, however, is obsessed with only one thing: the stone in front of him. His entire focus is on his own tools, his own technique, his own vision. He is in a dialogue with his own potential. His goal is simple: to make this sculpture better than the last. You must become this master sculptor. Your life is your stone. Your habits are your chisel. Your daily choices are the strikes of the hammer. Your goal is not to create a sculpture that looks like someone else's. Your goal is to reveal the masterpiece that is already latent within your own block of marble. This requires an inward focus, a radical commitment to your own process. This changes everything. Envy dissolves because the success of others becomes irrelevant. It is their sculpture, not yours. Discouragement fades because your progress is measured in millimeters of daily improvement, not in miles of comparison to others. You are playing an infinite game, a game you can win every single day simply by being 1% better, by making one better choice than you did the day before. Your sixth task is to define your own scoreboard. What is one specific measurable metric of your own progress that you can track every day? It could be the number of pages you read, the amount of time you spend in deep work, or the simple act of keeping a promise to yourself. Choose your metric. What will you measure to ensure you're competing only with yourself? Share it below. Let us speak of the end game. What is the purpose of this wealth you are building? The common answer is freedom. But what does that word truly mean? For most, it means the freedom to do nothing, to lie on a beach, to retire from work, to consume without limit. This is a shallow and ultimately unfulfilling vision. It is the dream of a slave who cannot imagine anything beyond the absence of his chains. The pursuit of this empty freedom leads to a life of profound boredom and meaninglessness. We see it in the stories of lottery winners who end up miserable, of early retirees who fall into depression. They have achieved the goal only to find that the goal was hollow. They have escaped the prison of work only to enter the larger, more terrifying prison of a life without purpose. They have all the money in the world, but no reason to get out of bed in the morning. The tension here is that the very drive and discipline required to build wealth are often abandoned once wealth is achieved. The warrior lays down his sword and becomes soft. The builder finishes his house and forgets how to hold a hammer. The mind that was once sharp and focused becomes dull and passive. You have spent your life climbing a mountain, and when you reach the summit, you discover there is nothing there but a cold, empty view. This reveals the final and most closely guarded code of the wise. The purpose of wealth is not freedom from work, but the freedom to choose your work. It is not about retirement, it is about alignment. The ultimate luxury is not a yacht or a mansion. It is the ability to dedicate your life to the work that you and you alone were meant to do, without regard for its immediate financial reward. Think of money as fuel. A fool buys fuel to sit in his garage and admire the full tank. A wise man uses the fuel to embark on a great journey, a journey he could not have taken otherwise. Wealth is the fuel for your life's work, for your purpose, for your contribution to the world. It buys you the time and the resources to pursue your own great work with undivided attention. This reframes the entire journey. You are not building wealth to escape life, but to engage with it more fully. You are not working to earn the right to be useless. You are working to earn the right to be useful on your own terms. Your purpose becomes the North Star that guides all of your financial decisions. You save and invest not for a life of leisure, but for a life of impact. This is the source of lasting fulfillment. It is the integration of your financial life with your spiritual and creative life. You are no longer divided. The man who works for money and the man who lives his life become one. You have transcended the need for work-life balance because your work has become the highest expression of your life. This is the wealth that can never be taken from you. Your final task on this journey is to define your great work. Beyond money, beyond survival, what is the work you would choose? What problem do you feel called to solve? What value do you feel uniquely positioned to create? You do not need the full answer now, but you must begin to ask the question, what is the first word that comes to mind when you think of your purpose? Plant that seed in the comments below. We have spoken of 7 codes, but they are not separate. They are facets of a single, unified philosophy. To practice one is to strengthen them all. They are like the pillars of a temple. The strength of the structure does not lie in any single pillar, but in their perfect integration, their shared load, their unified support of the roof above. That roof is a life of tranquil power. Many will hear these codes and treat them as intellectual curiosities. They will nod in agreement, perhaps feel a momentary surge of inspiration, and then return to their lives unchanged. They will collect the knowledge, but refuse to pay the price of its embodiment. This is the greatest tragedy, to know the path, but to refuse to walk it. It is to hold the key to your own prison cell, but to choose to remain locked inside. The true challenge is not in understanding the codes, but in living them. It is the moment-to-moment struggle in the battlefield of your own mind. It is the choice to subtract when the world screams to add. It is the choice to build your well when others are content to haul buckets. It is the choice to consult your plan when your heart is pounding with fear. It is the choice to take the calculated risk, to curate your circle, to compete only with yourself, and to pursue your great work. This is the 8th code, the one that binds them all. A code is not something you know, it is something you are. Your philosophy must be inscribed not in a notebook, but in your nerves, in your habits, in your automatic responses to the challenges of life. It must become the very lens through which you see the world. You do not do Stoicism, you become a Stoic. You do not use these codes, you become their living embodiment. Imagine yourself as a blacksmith forging a sword. Each code is a different step in the process. One is the heating of the metal, another the hammering, another the quenching, another the sharpening. You cannot skip a step, you cannot do them out of order. And the process is not clean, it is filled with sweat, fire, and the deafening ring of steel on steel. The sword that emerges from this process is your character, strong, flexible, and sharp. This is the work that lies before you. It is not a 30-day challenge or a quick fix. It is a lifelong practice. There will be days you fail, days your old habits re-emerge, days the noise of the world feels overwhelming. On those days, you do not despair. You simply pick up the hammer and return to the forge. You consult the codes not as a judge, but as a guide. The transformation will be slow, almost imperceptible at first. But one day, you will face a crisis that would have once shattered you, and you will find yourself calm. You will be presented with a temptation that would have once enslaved you, and you will feel nothing but indifference. You will look at your life, not with frantic anxiety, but with the quiet confidence of an architect who is building something that will last. This is your final reflection before the conclusion. We have laid out the blueprint. Which of these 7 codes presents the greatest battle for you right now? Where is the forge hottest in your own life? Naming the struggle is the first act of mastery. Share it below and join the company of those who are not afraid of the fire. The codes have been spoken, but their true revelation does not happen here in the listening. It happens in the silence that follows. It happens tomorrow morning when you are faced with the first choice of the day. It is in that small, quiet moment that the knowledge you have gained will either remain a fleeting echo or begin its slow, patient work of becoming your character. The journey inward has no final frame. You have been shown the architecture of a sovereign mind. You now understand that the strongest fortresses are built not of stone, but of principles. That the heaviest chains are forged not of iron, but of unexamined desires. You have learned to read the invisible ledger where the true cost of your choices is recorded. This is a wisdom that cannot be unlearned. It is a seed. Your daily life is now the soil in which it will either flourish or wither. The world will not change. The storm of noise and temptation will continue to rage, but something within you has shifted. You are no longer just a ship tossed on the waves. You are the captain who consults his own map, who holds steady to his own course. The goal was never to calm the sea, but to build a vessel so sound that it becomes indifferent to the tempest. You now hold the blueprint for that vessel. This is the point where watching ends and becoming begins. If this transmission has resonated with the architect within you, then the actions you take next are not for an algorithm, but for your own commitment. To lend your voice to the comments below, to share this blueprint with another who is ready, to subscribe to this forge. These are acts of alignment. They are the visible signals of an inner decision to no longer be a passive spectator in the construction of your own life. Let the codes settle. Let them dissolve into your own thinking until you forget where you heard them and they simply become the way you are. The ultimate power is not in remembering these words, but in living a life that no longer needs them. The richest man is not the one with the most, but the one who has become so much that he needs the least. This is the quiet victory that echoes through eternity. And so you're left not with an answer, but with a living question that will walk with you from this day forward. When you have mastered the codes and silenced the noise, what prison remains if not the one you build for yourself? Your freedom is not a destination to be reached. It is a decision to be made.